Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the UKLC. I've got aircon on, so I'm nice and awake as we get ready to go into our second game of the day. This is London taking on Bulldog. Jamada, talk to me about these matchups, because for me, Beely had some incredible performances on LeBlanc recently, and he's honestly been game-changing in those games.
Yeah, and I totally agree. I think Beely has been one of the few consistent sort of players throughout the last couple of splits. Whenever he shows up onto a team, he always ends up being, you know, one of the stronger or the strongest performing members, and he does it on a very week-to-week basis. It's very rare that we see poor performances come out of him, and like you're saying, very great performances on the LeBlanc. So excited to see what he'll pull out today against who I feel like Thomas Go individually is one of our, you know, better mid laners, you know, top half for sure. So definitely a potentially explosive matchup in the mid lane here for me. But I kind of want to talk about Bulldog a bit, because I think coming into the split, I looked at this roster, I did a little bit of background research, and I said, wow, this is a roster which, in contrast to previous Bulldog splits, could not only just not be in the bottom two and not be in relegations, but genuinely challenge the top half, you know, second place, third place, first place kind of role, not just, you know, playoffs in particular. But I think so far, you know, a lot of teams, it's very easy to tack on sort of the inconsistency tag, right? Because there's so many 3-3 teams. But I think for Bulldog, it's more about potentially finding a bit of identity when it comes to how this team wants to play. Because I think you've got 4 members, Copas Main, Lulis, Thomas Go, Jacob, all very capable of being played through. And I was just taking a look at the drafts because I was very curious about what they've played. Thomas Go and Jacob have 6 unique champions in 6 games. Lulis has played Volibear in 3 of them, but the jungle is relatively static, so you expect a lot of, you know, same picks. Copas Main and Will the Scout have only played the same champion twice throughout the split. So whilst, yes, it's great that they have a wide variety of champions they can play, I want to see a bit of definition here when it comes to how Bulldog actually want to play these games out and who they want to consistently give these resources to, because there's been too many deviations in place now for me from this Bulldog lineup.
We are into picks and bans. We have had most of the bans go by in this stage, and to be honest, it's fair to talk over picks and bans because realistically, it's the same things. The Senna is the only thing that's standing out to me is a little bit different in this ban phase, but there's still plenty of power picks open. I'm assuming London are going to look as their final ban and figure out what they want to go for. There's still fair few things open. You've got the Nocturne, you've got the Viego, the Shen. So actually, we are seeing from London a bit more targeted banning here. They are looking to change things up. Now, the Lee Sin is going to be the first pickup here for Bulldog. We know it goes mid. We know it goes top. It can also technically go jungle as well. So London, they're just going to answer out the Xin Zhao for no name, a pretty powerful jungler who's been pretty prevalent in the meta. And then it is the Seraphine as the next ban. Now, pickup, sorry. Now, this could go in the support role. It could go in the mid role. I don't know what I make of it on Beely, because I feel like Beely, if you put him on like a really proactive mid lane,
yeah. If anything, I think Beely best suits facilitators and then outright, you know, carry control mages. I think Seraphine would definitely be in his wheelhouse. He would definitely be capable of playing it, but whether I'd like to see Beely on it is a different question. So we'll have to see, you know, a bit of a variation of the Xin Zhao Karma type composition with the Seraphine. You sort of get a little more death bally of that. So I'm excited to see how that's going to work. I think the Rumble in mind being picked up here for Bulldog does make a little bit of sense when you're thinking about Seraphine. Typically, the comps want to be bundled up. What's the best champion that, at the moment in the jungle, that loves bundled up compositions? It's Rumble. He wants to lay down the equalizer split, fights up. And now let's see what this pickup is going to be. I'm expecting AD carry, and it is going to be the Jhin. So when I now look towards Thomas Go in the mid lane later on, I want to see a carry come out of this guy. Or at the very least, you know, if we see him on Lee Sin, I want to see Copas Main on a very strong damage dealing champion.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, final pickup here is going to be the Nautilus as we look to round out this comp. Now, technically, we could have a Nautilus Seraphine bot lane. That is a potential here. We do see, you know, a little bit of flexibility in this. So,
and I would like to say we also saw the previous iteration of London do this, where it was something like Nautilus Seraphine. They chucked then Voxnay on Seraphine. Granted, that game didn't go well for them, if you recall.
Voxnay is very much an AD carry player.
He's a right clicker.
He is very much a right clicker. He's in that Reckless wheelhouse. Do you remember when mages were really good and AD carries are garbage? And Reckless went, I'm just taking the split off. I'm taking a holiday. Then Voxnay was definitely in that wheelhouse. Anyway, moving into the next ban phase, we're going to have the Leona taken away as well as the Tristana here. So Obviously, kind of still looking towards things, but Beely might take mid lane. He could also take that Lucian. It's been pretty consistently banned versus him in the mid here, as the Silas is also going to get banned away. I think that's understandable. You got Nautilus, you got a Seraphine. Actually, you've even got the Xin Zhao. There's plenty of really nice ultimates for him to steal. Can be really impactful on that one. So, understandable ban here from the side of London. As now it's over to Bulldog to find their final ban. Are they going to ban away something like the Lucian, deny that from Beely, or do they want to look for something else? They're going to go for the Viego.
Yeah, I think the Viego can definitely make sense when you've got Rumble and Lee Sin already. Two very strong champions to get resets off of. And of course, maybe they're planning something in their B4 and 5 that it's just like, okay, we don't want to give over Viego, Seraphine, and Xin Zhao at the same time when they've got an engaged support already. It's just a little bit too overbearing now. I think for this pick, it could honestly be an AD carry. It could be a top laner. It doesn't really matter. I think Akka's on something like Gnar, it's typically pretty fine. Very safe up in the top side. I think Gnar, we've seen a pretty sharp fall off in teams wanting to pick up this champion consistently, kind of just worldwide. We do still see him every now and again, but I think with champions like Jace, like Lee Sin in the meta, it's very difficult to pick him on a very consistent basis. And Jace would be an interesting one. I would expect Thomas Go to pilot this one, though I believe Copas Main has actually played a game on it already, so very flexible between these solo lanes. And Thresh is something that's remained open. Most people typically consider Nautilus a pretty strong matchup into it. You've got a Jhin. You want to give him that safety net. You've got a lot of facilitators. Jhin is kind of the facilitator. Thresh can work as a facilitator. You don't necessarily have to go in, engage full on when this London composition wants to come into you.
Well, the final pickup actually may look to be the Braum. It's something we have seen kind of answered out to these melee supports, but at the same time, Jhin Braum not the greatest synergy, just because Jhin doesn't have a massive amount of attack speed to stack up the concussive blows, but you do have the Deadly Flourish, so you can, find ways around it. But it's not really about that synergy between them as champions. It's more about what they can do in lane together on this one. And thank God Beely isn't playing the Seraphine. It is going to be Nautilus Seraphine bot lane, and Beely once again will be piloting this LeBlanc, and he has been one of the standout performers on the LeBlanc in the UKLC for me. He had a really, I think it's 2 games we've seen from him on it now, and he's had some really, really nasty games on this champ.
Yeah, he has. And across the other side of the mid lane is Thomas Go, another very proficient LeBlanc player historically inside of the UKLC as well. Loads of strong performances on that side. So going to be very interesting to see how he pilots the least inside of the matchup into Beely, and how Beely's going to deal with what is effectively a lot of sustain, a lot of irritating poke and skill shots to deal with inside of it. But yeah, one thing that definitely sort of waves a yellow flag, I won't call it a red flag, London are going to have to take down multiple members to want to do a Baron. I think actually on both sides of the coin here, Bulldog and London have very slow Baron takedowns. So come the mid game, we might see a bit of a slowdown if neither of these teams can burn a Baron down very quickly. Because it's going to take a near ace to actually get a big purple worm takedown.
I think you're right. I think you're very right. Baron damage is painful.
It's lacking.
So
in this game,
I feel like almost in a way that's kind of something that both the teams can leverage against each other, as they know for the realistics of a Baron being snuck is going to be fairly low. So as long as they got okay vision in the area, it's not something they have to worry about. It's not like the last game where they had a Nocturne and a Kai'Sa who, will melt through that objective. It's definitely not the case here. So Baron will be something that, it's going to be interesting how the teams dance around it, because it is a very different setting in that sense. Mid lane is one I'm going to be excited for, because like you said, Thomas Go has kind of been, he's been a player who we've hyped up for quite a while, even during that really rough Bulldog split for him. The first split on him where he didn't win a single game, we still said, this guy is so good at mid. And now he's playing versus, one of our veteran UK mid laners in Beely, basically on Thomas Go's signature champion as well, if we want to say it that way. So this mid lane is actually going to be really, really excited. So this is the one I kind of want to keep my eyes on and keep tracking, because I think it could be pretty good. Now, Thomas Go is on the Lee Sin, so he might just play kind of weak side, kind of lane clear duty, and then look to play around with his jungler. But we're on to the Rift for game number 2 of the day. This is Bulldog versus London. It's all to play for here, as London right now are 3-3, while Bulldog are also 3-3. So winner of this game will pull ahead of the other team.
And we've highlighted the mid laners a lot. I'd also want to highlight the junglers too, because I feel like Lulas had a pretty decent start to his UKLC career, and of course No Name we've spoken about for a fairly long time inside of the UK scene, had his UKL splits. in late 19 and spring 2020. Made it onto Monster Rugby Gaming Academy, and they got second place finish. That split. Of course, took split off, and so far, No Name definitely not had the best of performances in my eyes. I think he's, very high variance at the moment. Sometimes we've seen No Name take over games, sometimes it's just been borderline costing them. Hopefully, this game, when you've got such a strong mid laner to play around in LeBlanc, and of course Beely as an individual on this Xin Zhao, he's going to be facilitated a lot to make some strong plays across the map.
All right, well, both junglers will be starting up on the top side of the map, so we'll see where the action looks to break down if they decide to go for any early skirmishes. I guess that's going to kind of be dependent on how these lanes go. I feel like Mankey and Jeppe should have a pretty good lane here at the beginning, just as far as the priority goes. There's a hook that comes in from Jeppe, just for a little bit of harassment. And yeah, Mankey and Jeppe, you got so much AP and so much wave clear really to work with that lanes are naturally going to get shoved in a little bit.
Yeah, I don't expect Jacob and Will the Scout to have priority down here very frequently. And one thing to also consider is Mankey's going to start having sustain too. So as Poker's eaten up over time, it is also going to be matched in sustain. Ooh, nice timed hook. Didn't quite manage to catch his target there. But a clever thing from Jacob, actually starting boots, in my opinion, into this matchup. A lot of skill shots to dodge. And of course, having the 4 pots also helps out. Got the fleet footwork too. Also heal up an extra bit. So just playing around the lane matchup in runes and early itemization. I'd like to see that. I think boost was temporarily frowned upon, actually, as a start. For some particular reason I can't remember. I do like it here, as Ludus has actually gone for an invade onto No Name. And
there's nothing there, bro.
He does know, right? Can we get a swap to 4? Okay, well, doesn't matter.
Is he going for like a really long... Oh, Lulus, mate.
Lulus.
He started red side. It's gone. There's nothing there.
To see it. As a jungler, you definitely don't like to see that. Now, I think just expecting No Name to start on the single target camps and path up to the top side and maybe get an early invade off.
At least he wasn't spotted on a ward. So that information wasn't given over. He did waste some time, sure, but at least he wasn't spotted out on the ward.
The issue is No Name now has free reign onto all of his jungle camps, and that's not ideal. Typically, you do see Xin Zhao's try and get aggressive in this jungle matchup anyway, but this is just freedom for No Name. He's got information on the Raptor camp if he wants to take it. He's obviously got this red buff here. Complete bottom lane priority means that he's even being shadowed, and it could even turn into a mid lane gank. I mean,
they're looking for it.
Yeah, okay, dodged out on the dredge line. I did hear it get thrown out, and now chickens as well. So Lulus, on what information I'm unsure, going for that invade is going to cost him 2 jungle camps in a matchup where he should have, farm tempo if he's not being invaded on.
I'm assuming what happened was they thought because that ward had gone down on the red buff, maybe they predicted like a quick invade from No Name, and he thought it'd catch him out. But he just obviously didn't account for the fact that No Name started red side. I don't know. I'm trying to cobble together some kind of an excuse for what happened there.
I mean, I've studied. I've been a jungler for a long time, right? So it's pretty easy to put your mind in the head of a play like this. I think it's just one of those things where you flip it because you think that Xin Zhao is gonna invade you just because of the jungle matchup, and No Name just didn't. And whether you wanna give props to No Name for like galaxy braiding the pathing, I don't know, but I think Lulus taking that chance on, what I feel like was no info is definitely very risky. The only thing I can think of is he knows he didn't have bottom lane priority, so he's expecting a collapse. It's hard to say. I don't think we should dwell on it for much longer than this. But as you can see, the farm lead definitely grown in a matchup where you do expect the Rumble to pull out ahead in CS, typically without any interaction from the laners. As off the back of it as well, No Name will secure this dragon, so London going to have the early condition potentially snowballing for them if they want it. Let's see what this next dragon's going to be. Be an ocean, so Cloud or Infernal for us. Oh, hold on. Again, back up in the mid lane.
Thomas has to be careful. If these chains connect into the dredge line, Thomas has to flash to get away. And then just lands a little bit extra damage in.
first portion of the W. And yeah, there you go. So Lulus is, you know, still level 5, but just the efficiency of his clear. And just in general on Rumble, it's so important to hit level 6 ASAP. You want the equalizer available as soon as you can have it, so you can start to put down a little more pressure on these lanes. And just the non-interactiveness of being on one side of a map and just chucking an ultimate down from like 1.5k range. So potent. You can see, I mean, even here, like having the equalizer available, well, it's 6.5 minutes, so it would be pretty early for him to have it, but things like this in the past, just having it down can definitely dissuade the dives. It was a nice movement from London all in all to try and slow down some of the farming of the Jace. It's something that I've praised London for in the previous iteration of this roster as well. They've always been very, very good at dealing with side lanes and shoving laners off these big stacked up waves. Now, Pepe snuck in with a Hex Flash again, trying to look for Thomas Go here.
Yeah, he's almost got that Hex Flash back off cooldown as well, so probably waiting just to come in for that one as Beely jumps in forwards, looks for the chains. The hook gets dodged out as Thomas Go is going to get rooted. Double chains in, Sigil of Malice is going to pop, and Beely finds first blood.
I've got to say, Thomas Go was pretty close to trading that one out, 1-for-1. He did have the Dragon's Rage available, and I don't think he'd used his E either, Tempest, so pretty close, but it's a play that's been brewing in London's minds for a while. They played into that mid lane multiple times, and now potential dive on the top side. The waves crash, just a cannon. Mega Gnar available, and
they're going in, they get the slam, he bops him back, but here comes No Name.
No response.
And Akka's able to survive as the Triumph will heal him up, and he gets away to safety.
Yeah, just a little bit too aggressive from Cokebuster main, trying to clear out the wave, but he uses the To the Skies, and it puts him in prime position to be slammed into the wall and CC down. No Name does commit the flash, but you're pretty happy to take that, as now you see Bulldog's bottom lane have rotated up here. Looks like they want to play for this Herald, as they expect London to have reset off the back of that play. And with them off the map, it means it's a free objective for them to take down. So nice timing from the Bulldog bottom lane and jungle. And now let's see how they use this Herald. No Name's actually walking up here, but I don't think he's going to look to contest.
They might just be looking for mid again.
Actually, I take that back.
They're coming over. 1,200 health left. Beely's going to jump forward with the distortion. Tries to steal it! And Beely with a Sigil of Malice into the chain. Able to secure it. No Name will pick it up. Beely, that was beautiful.
And it was such a good rotation as well from Bulldog to make it up here. They try and read the map. They say, okay, London, they're going to reset. They're not going to be on the map. They're using their tempo from the rotation brilliantly. And it's just an early smite from Lulus. I just don't think he's expecting the contest. I don't know. I just don't know, but Beely comes in, he sees the smite used, I'm pretty sure, from his POV, and just like, oh, I guess I'll take it then. He just steals it away. Daylight robbery, but it's daylight robbery. Beely responds appropriately, but you have to question Lulus for smiting early in that position. Comedy of errors so far from the Bulldog jungler, unfortunately for him today.
Come on, No Name. I think you need to go put that mid. I think Beely has earned that. If I'm honest with you. Hold on, Jacob's going to get eaten up by a hook as the wind becomes lightning. He is CC'd for days, able to flash and cleanse to safety, but Jacob really feeling the hurt there. Beely, we're going to shove this wave in, and No Name may just look to try and put the Herald down over the wall here from the chicken camp. As he may just look to jump in for the dive. Here comes the Hex Flash. No ultimate available to Jeppe, but Thomas not really got too many places to go. The chains are going to connect, and No Name will secure the kill. Picking up a couple more plays before summoning the Herald as Jacob is chunked out by Mankey, and Mankey flashes forwards and catches him with the Encore.
Oh boy, it's going from bad to worse for Bulldog here, as they lose out the bottom side of 1v1. It's hard to call it a 1v1 when Mankey was practically full HP, but we spoke about it from the draft. We said, honestly, this bottom side would probably have a lot of early priority, and Pepe has basically just made a home in the mid lane, consistently paying visits up towards Thomas Go, and it's time to show. They've picked him up 2 times now. The Herald's gone down in mid lane. There's 1 plate left, and the aftermath, the result of it all, is London have a 4,000 gold lead at 10 minutes. This is honestly approaching kind of, hey, do we want to remake if this is a scrim territory?
Oh, no, you can see the individual golds as well. 1,300 gold up for Beely in the mid lane. 1,100 gold up for No Name in the jungle. Top lane's only 400 between them. 900 up for Mankey in the I don't want to say the carry, but the in the bot laners. So, you know, gold very happily in favor of London as we toggle back and start to look at where the items are. Because that's what I want to keep my eyes on, of what are we looking towards on these build paths? How close are we getting to these first kind of spikes? Don't know if Beely's finished up his Ludens yet.
Yeah, he should have. Unless he went Sork Boots. It's the only way to know. As this dragon should be picked up by London here. There's no...
He went Sork Boots.
No contest. And with the Sork Boots, it means he's not quite going to have Ludens until the next base. The Mage Ions actually got buffed in 11-13. I can't recall if Ludens was one of the items that got its combined cost lowered. I definitely remember Everfrost did.
1250 with...
Yeah, so I believe it got lowered to 1,050.
I can't remember. You know, it's really bad. I've been playing a lot of Ludens LeBlanc. I should know this, but I can't remember off the top of my head.
Yes, the unstable internet means that I'm not willing to risk my own LP, but the LP of my teammates, and also maybe getting a Q timer.
You're better than the people I play with, then.
As hey, speaking of all of the lane pressure spilling out everywhere.
Oh no!
Jacob,
Double sigil into chains. He's popped. He's dropped, and Mankey will pick up the kill with a beat drop.
Yeah, not much to say about that one. Just kind of CC down. Not a lot of response time available. The vision control is firmly in favor of London on the bottom side, and just about everywhere. I mean, Bulldog don't really have a base of operations on this map at the moment. It has solely been all about London this game. As, let's see, one plate off that auto attack. Has a lot of time. No one is going to match him for a little while.
Is the Moonstone build here for Mankey as well? So building a little bit more supportive.
Yeah, it's an item we've not seen picked up so frequently. I can't recall if it was buffed on this patch, or maybe it's the next patch. I know it's getting a lot of love tap buff.
Oh, why?
Patch after patch. Because it's a bad item right now, Jake. That's why.
It's a bad item even when it's good. But it's a bad item for different reasons.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll see how it impacts the meta, because they do consistently change the support items a lot. For the last couple of seasons now, actually, I think as long as League of Legends has really been a thing, support items have always been a point of contention when it comes to balance.
Yeah, do you remember Spell Thief top?
Yeah, Spell Thief.
I remember Spell
Thief in the
top.
game.
Yeah.
Spell Thief GP.
Yeah.
Get the what was it? What was the rune called? I'm not talking about Klepto. I'm talking about that one rune in the middle tree that used to give you 15 gold as well for hitting people.
Oh, yeah.
Long-term players will certainly remember what I'm talking about.
I remember that because you'd go Spell Thief plus that on GP, and then Q.
And it also would be
dollar. Pickpocket.
I think that same rune also gave you gold per minute or gold per 15 or whatever, as well as the on-hit gold. It was so hilarious. They used to call it back.
Our observer's given us an update. It's Pickpocket was the name of the rune.
Pickpocket. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, League of Legends has had some very funny interactions over the years.
I mean,
I'm sure that will continue to be the case.
Klepto was a nightmare rune.
I mean, okay, I actually liked the premise of Klepto.
I liked the premise of Klepto.
For me, I felt like some of the items you got out of it were a bit too potent. I think they eventually did try and tone down like the strength of the items, but I don't know. They never really found a yin yang to it. Right? As Aka's is gonna fake it, but he's mega.
The night at the perfect time. Can he get the slam back? He jumps away. Coats coming in. They have the equalizer if they want to continue the chase here. Aka's able to survive the onslaught, but the teleports are coming in. They're bringing it back up, actually. And Bulldog are just pulling it as Beely misses the chains, but he has the second one. Lulis jumps away, and that is going to be the escape for the side of Bulldog. London almost turned that back around.
And they get Thomas Go's teleport as well. As Kofas mains flash. So more resources blown on the Bulldog side either way. And nothing necessarily gained by the Bulldog side, as jungle even being stripped away now on top of these neutrals. And quite frankly, Bulldog just haven't had an in this game. And I think a lot of that can definitely come down to the early jungle pathing of Lulis. I think not being able to abuse the lane anywhere certainly has played a part. As bottom lane priority in tandem with that, basically gave London free reign on the map from start to exactly where we are right now.
Well, it's another Cloud Soul, unfortunately. The third dragon for London will be spawning up 25 seconds into, well, 25 seconds away.
Can we start calling it Clown Dragon
Soul?
again?
Clown Dragon?
Because it just happens so frequently in our league.
Well, it's weird because remember a while, like, I think it was last week or the week before, where we only had Infernal Souls. I feel like something about our league is just we have our flavor of the week, and this flavor is air. Huh. We're feeling air at the moment.
Okay, hold on. I'm noticing a bit of a coinky-dink pattern going on. You know, we had a lot of hot weather at the start of June.
Yeah.
A lot of
now it's getting cloudy.
Now it's getting cloudy.
All right. We figured out your algorithm.
All right.
You have a higher percentage to spawn the dragon you want, depending on the weather in your local area.
Yes, and it completely has nothing else to do outside of that. It's purely locale-based weather.
How does Mountain Drake apply? Have there just been loads of rock falls in your area? Earthquakes?
Earthquakes, yeah. I mean, there was that air quotes tornado in Barking the other week.
Was there?
Yeah. Look it up. I know it's crazy. Let's see how Thomasco responds to this.
I think it's going to be pretty poorly as he gets knocked up, depth charged and chased, but the teleport's coming in. The team's coming in for the backup. Coach jumps in. Beely just annihilates his health bar, and London are bringing friends. Akers teleports in to make sure nobody else is going down. That was disgusting double sigil coming in from Beely.
Yeah, Beely says, want to see a magic trick, and just make me disappear. Not so great for the Jace on the side lane when you just have no priority anywhere. Being perfectly demonstrated here by London, and honestly, bar that top lane tower going down, on pace for an almost perfect game at the moment.
But not quite there, unfortunately, as this tower will go down as well. Beely able to push that in. Thomas goes in the area. He's going to just kick forward, and Beely misses the chains, but if those chains hit, I actually think Thomas could have been in real trouble there. Beely had ult.
Yeah, definitely.
He's going death cap second, by the way.
Yeah, he should be. As he should be. When you're this fed on the Blanc, you've got all this gold, you definitely have to be. And things are just going to go from bad to worse. When the gold lead stays static like this, I mean, realistically, it's actually growing, but when it continues to grow like this, then you don't actually have an in anywhere on the map. You can't really abuse anywhere, right? You lose the side lane, you lose outright team fights at this moment in time. Core items have come in for London. One item on Beely, he's halfway to his second. Gordrinker's there for No Name, Stridebreaker's there for Akers, and I think crucially as well, the Moonstaff combination for Mankey. Just going to make it really, really difficult for Bulldog to find and pick off members without it being complete unforced error on the London side of things. They don't really have a whole bunch of, you know, CC lockdown for some of the damage champions that they have. It's why I was kind of indicating I would have wanted to see Thomas go on a bit of a carry, just put Copas main on this Lee Sin, because you had a facilitating-esque bottom lane with the Brom, with the Jhin. Well, then Lee Sin kind of fills that role too in a lot of compositions.
Lulus.
He's in trouble.
No, it's jump in. Free talent strike. He's knocked up and he's going to be Dredgeline. The equalizer does nothing. It's bad maths coming in. And now they're looking to chase down. Will the Scout going to get knocked up by this one? Here comes Jeppe with a hook. Needs to find the land. Gonna miss it as he hits the wall. Will the Scout just about able to survive? You were saying, Baron, it's relatively slow,
but in
London might just feel it.
In a game like this, it might not be. I think still, you are lacking a true DPS champion. You know, crit chance is a very big deal at taking down these Barons, but when they just pull up, they are squishy. Jacob, not gonna get taken down or rooted up by Mankey, so I'm gonna walk away from that one. But yeah, I mean, honestly, when they've got this much priority, they're this far ahead, early Barons could be a thing. I think, honestly, you just bait Bulldog into thinking that you're doing the Baron, and then you just turn. You've got very strong turn tools, in my opinion. Lawless just exists. You've got the Encore, Xin Zhao, Akers if he's in Mega. You're able to bait Bulldog in. I think that is definitely the smartest course of action here. And I mean, for Bulldog, again, it's at that point where the only semblance of hope that they have of making it back into this game is that London start to get sloppy, start to make mistakes. Unforced errors, as we like to call them. Slow in rotation, things like that. Why is Bulldog likely going to be bled dry here?
And this is kind of what we've seen as our kind of meta at the moment. Is one team able to pull ahead and just control the gold lead. But Thomas looking to see if he can jump into Mankey, gets the flash out from Mankey. Wasn't able to get the flash in second in time. That's now flashless Seraphine, a little bit more exposed, a little bit more easy to punish. Jacob has to be careful as the deck charge gets used. They're looking to chase as the hook is going to land. He flashes away and the encore not going to connect. Jacob just about able to survive, but Beely comes in. Double change coming in. Oh my lord. Jacob goes so low.
Goodness me, that LeBlanc is not balanced at the moment.
He's got Hextech Alternator.
He's going for
Horizon Focus?
Yeah.
I guess he's playing around chains heavily then.
Yeah. I mean, you don't really want to commit on top of this Bulldog draft, in my opinion, unless you're able to actually find lethal. And he does have the stopwatch, so he has that option available to him if he wants to dive in and then stopwatch. Wait for his team to back him up. That is definitely something that you can do, and he's got playing going for him. London will pick up the soul, as No Name will collect that dragon. And Elder, 6 minutes away. Bulldog really just haven't had a response. And now I'm just kind of looking towards London to say, okay, you don't have a great Baron takedown team. How are you going to close this one out? Because so far, they've been a bit slow, but they've definitely been clinical in their plays in terms of picking up the kills that they have. How are you going to transfer this lead? How are you going to transfer the pressure from these lanes, the priority that you've had, particularly throughout through the mid lane? Taking down all of the tier 2s, or the tier 2 on the bottom side of the map. But this is the side of the map that doesn't really matter unless Elder's on the map. How are you going to play around the top side now is what I'm looking to London. And Bulldog, how are you going to defend? How are you going to respond? What can you do?
That's your job to answer that, by the way. What can they do?
Well, what can they do is try and set up defensive vision as best they can and try and hold their ground. Try and see if London will, I won't necessarily say slip up, but get confident. And try and push forward their own vision line. And then try and make a pick. Get concussive blow stacked up. Get a CC chain going.
Oh, hold on, they found Mankey. He's getting jumped onto. Throws out the encore. But he is just popped shut down for Thomas Go.
There you go. Stuff like this. Now, it technically happened in the mid lane. It's not in the jungle, which is where I was expecting it to happen. But stuff like that. You blew the flash earlier. Make a repeat play onto that member. I think trying to collapse onto this top side would be a little bit audacious. And the slow approach up towards the top side is definitely the correct one for me. Bit funny as BD doesn't quite make it over the wall, but it slows down the game. And London could get jumped onto here. Or Bulldog could get jumped onto here, rather, as Will the scout on vision.
Will, they've got the chain, looking for the second one as they get the damage up from the sigil. Will rooted up. He puts the unbreakable up for the moment. The kick doesn't hit Beely, and the dash is enough to secure the kills. Now Thomas has to flash away. Double knock up from the deck charge. Here's the equalizer. Beely getting cooked a little bit, and now Lula's actually got the flame spitter on her. No Name will lose the time. A shutdown picked up for Bulldog.
Yeah, a little bit of an overcommitment there from London. This is what I was saying. When you're in a game where you can't necessarily take down the Baron, it gets hard to navigate and close out these games, especially when Bulldog are in such a position where they just can't do much.
Okay. That forces the teleport out from Coach, but Lulis is coming in. He's almost got that equalizer back up. Beely has double dash available, has the flash. Jeppe also has a flash. Get hooks onto the tower. Backup's coming in as Thomas is going to eat up the chain and jump away to safety. Coach looking for a last shockwave. Shock blast, sorry. This is not going to land. And London able to escape for now. But the siege is continuing in the mid lane as they take the tier 2 turret for the side of London. And Will the Scout can't really protect versus the Gnar and the Seraphine.
No, absolutely not. So tower traded in the mid lane. London also did pick up that tier 1, I think, at the very beginning of the shenanigans we saw up there. And, okay, well,
LeBlanc is fed. Oh, as a death cap as well as the alternator.
All right. Well, maybe BD just based on 1.1 gold.
1,050 is a Hextech alternator. Exactly. So yeah, maybe because it does give like a lot of damage.
It's good stats. It's 40 AP flat. And then obviously the on-hit damage from hitting spell. So when you take it, you know, put the numbers together, I think it can outdo a needlessly large rock on some spells. I think a burst champion like LeBlanc probably benefits of it.
Well, here you go. Goes in, jumps out. Kick goes wide, and Beely able to dodge, but London, they're starting up their siege. No Baron, no Elder Drake necessary. Beely does eat a kick from Thomas Go, but I think Thomas would be crazy to follow that one. So Beely able to escape. And it really looks like Baron's not necessary. Coates is able to hold versus Akers for now. Beely just lets to steal away a couple of camps.
It's definitely interesting to see this game slow down to such a snail's pace. London not actually crossed the finish line in a very convincing, concise manner. I'll take the convincing part back. Concise, definitely the more apt descriptor.
Well, I think this kind of boils back to the fact that they just don't have a quick Baron.
It's the draft.
Like, that is literally the problem. If they had an AD carry,
they would have done the Baron.
Would have taken Baron by now, ages ago. 20 minutes, they probably would have taken it. Yeah. But so they don't.
In reality, they're doing the correct thing. But you would definitely think with some of the tools they have available, they would have been a little more proactive in trying to find picks, but they haven't. Which is obviously okay too, when you've got the Elder to fall back on, but when you think about the smite damage being the exact same, if you don't just outright win the fight and you end up flipping the Elder, that's one fast ticket to losing the game that you should have won.
Oh no, he's looking for Jacob, gets sped up by Mankey, but not going to feel it as the Glacial Fissure was thrown down by Will the Scout just to zone Jeppe out as Beely doesn't have his ultimate, so no double dash available to him, but he comes over looking for Jacob. The chains are going to connect. Jacob has to Gale Force away to safety. Just about surviving the onslaught as they actually catch the Deadly Flourish off onto None. None gets jumped onto, goes to the bot back. They go for the encore, only lands onto one. Beely on the flank, looking for his opportunity to find a kill. Dodging away on some of the skill shots, and the curtain is cancelled as they don't want to try and stand around for too long, but Beely jumps in. Lulus has the stopwatch. The hook goes through him, and the equalizer's down. They've now got the Deadly Flourish off. Jeppe has to pop the ultimate to survive. Teleport coming in onto the cannon, and here comes backup. Here comes the hook. Coates has to jump away with the flash as the kick does land onto Jeppe. They're looking to chase. London low health pass for the moment. Bit of additional damage coming in, a little bit more poke, and maybe they can find their opportunity to take a fight. But London just not giving them the opportunity. Beely still full health and now has the ultimate. Will, I think you scouted too far, friend. Is just about able to come, but they are grouped up. They're in double distortion range here for Beely.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. It's Mankey who's just healing everybody up. I said they had a brief moment where it looked pretty good for Bulldog, but now, as time's progressed, the Moonstone, all of the innate healing from Seraphine has brought a lot of these London members back up to a healthy stat. Oh, okay.
There he is. Beely sliding in. Coates is tethered, and somehow Will the Scouts escapes everything, but Thomas going to have to be a little bit careful as Akers about to gnaw out. Beely on the hunt, looking for another kill. Eats the kick, and Beely has to stopwatch. He can't jump back in time. He tries to jump away. Accuse the minion, and the shutdown's there for Thomas Go. Elder Dragon should be secured by London in the meanwhile, as Akers in minion, so not going to be able to get the R off. As he jumps in with the stride break onto Lulus. Lulus actually taking a lot of damage, and Deadly Flourish should just save the day for the jungler. As the hook going to go wide, the equalizer laid down, the depth charge is used, and these fights are just not ending. They're not stopping, but nobody is going down.
All right, I'll give you voice the rest. Somehow London managed to pick up the Elder after what felt like an eternity of back and forth, cat and mouse. As Bulldog, they had a brief opportunity to try and pull the trigger, but you can just see they don't really have great, hard go engage buttons, unfortunately. And London were able to disengage with the Seraphine, tried to heal them back up. And now with this Elder, hopefully for them during this duration, they've only got 1 minute and 15 seconds left. They can try and steer towards the Baron, pick it up, and that's how they crack open the base. But if they can't, I think we're in for a long one. I think we just end up waiting for another Elder spawn.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I mean, they're not beelining it to the Baron right now. They're definitely getting the lane priority, that's for sure. But I mean, if they don't feel confident starting this one up, it just seems like they're getting ready for it. There you go. Starts here, and now Bulldog, they don't even care. I think for them, They know Elder's on enough members to the point where it's just like, it's not worth flip.
They are lucky, but Beely's the one they killed, actually. Beely with Elder is actually a death sentence for anybody on this team. I don't think anyone survives him with Elder.
No, definitely not. So Bulldog will do the smart thing. They at least trade out the tower on the bottom side. Trades at this point in the game, usually pretty negligible, but when you're talking about getting any kind of resources that you can, I think you're pretty happy as, damage graph about as I expected it. Cobust main has actually put in a bit of a shift, a bit silently.
I mean, he is a Jace. It kind of inherently comes from that champion, right?
Yeah, and maybe the matchup has inflated his damage numbers a tad. And for Beely, you could definitely argue that. But certainly one of the core driving members at the moment in some of these team fights, even if the scoreboard doesn't indicate it. But with these dual mega buffs, London, they're looking to force through the mid lane right now. And they've also got this wave up in the top lane.
Yeah, they're going to be able to take the inhibitor for free. The top lane will be next up on the menu. They've got a large wave to work with. So this tower pretty much guaranteed to go down. So 2 inhibitor towers will crumble. And the inhibitor should be next up as, again, they've got the double cannons. The hook goes through the goalposts. And it's a goal for Jeppe, but not the goal he wanted. Is Will the Scout able to just about survive as the tether gets broken?
Jeppe is 1-up on the Portuguese from last night. For any Portugal fans. That was a very entertaining football game, by the way. I very rarely tune in.
Don't watch football.
That was actually a very. It turned into a bit of a boxing match.
I heard it was a bit mad. I just have zero interest in football.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely did when I was growing up. Because I was temporarily a footballer, but then I transitioned into just general athletics. So my interest in football waned, but I still followed it up until maybe 20.
What is your sport?
Sprinting.
Sprinting. So when it comes to the Olympics, you're into running.
Yeah.
You know I met Usain Bolt?
Huh?
Do you know I met Usain Bolt?
Ooh, that's a pretty big play. He's a cool dude.
He's a really cool dude. He's a nice guy. I met Chris Hoy as well. Chris Hoy winked at me. I met a lot of athletes, to be fair. I worked in the VIP lounges during the London 2020. Was it 20? No, 2012. 2012. What am I talking about? It was years ago.
Oh, man.
I was a young lad back then.
I was in my second year of secondary.
Oh my God, really? I was 19.
Yeah.
Wait, really? Am I that much older than you? Anyway, Fight breaking out, equalizer's on, and No Name's going to jump in. Will the Scout is popped, and here comes Beely. Co's just about able to survive him as Lulis goes golden in the middle of everyone, but he will lose his life. The encore is huge, and the slam into the wall means Thomas Go will lose his life. A double kill for Beely, and Jacob can do nothing but watch from the sidelines as London will take his Nexus and take his base.
Oh, they want him.
They want him bad.
They want him.
They're going to stand on the edge of the fountain. The hook lands, and it is enough to secure the kill. It's an ace and a game. 34 minutes on the clock. And London take the win.
Yep. Very, very slow and long game for London, but I think just a symptom of the draft. It wasn't a bad draft at all, but it's just very hard to close out when you can't take a Baron, you can't crack open the base, versus what is a very, very defensive draft from Bulldog, especially after the early game. It can't be an aggressive one, I'll tell you that for free. So yeah, honestly, London, once they did accrue their lead, once they did actually attain it, it just looked very impossible for Bulldog to come back into it. I think the early jungle pathing, I don't know whether it was misinformation or what exactly went wrong there for Lulis to end up in the red buff. But he did free camps, and then he was stuck at free camps for a very, very long time outside of that Skull Crab. And No Name had free reign over the jungle. On the bottom side, same thing. Pepe roamed up to the mid lane about 5 times.
I mean, when is Beely's LeBlanc going to start getting banned? Because it looks pretty scary now. He's either 2 for 2 or 3 for 3 on that champion now. I'm not 100% sure. I'm an idiot. I probably should have checked that fact before saying it. But anyway, it's time for us to sprint over to the break. We'll be back after this with an interview with No Name. We'll see you in a moment.